Next item on the agenda was going to be the purchase of a vehicle. I had budgeted in the, and it was, as approved, it was I want to say it was $3,600 for the lease of a new vehicle. We sold.
Excuse me, Jason. Vehicle being a van or a car or a pickup truck?
It would either be a van or a car. I'm looking for a car.
Van or a car.
Used for what?
Transporting prisoners.
Is this replacing something that you have now?
I sold the old sheriff's van that we had.
What are you using now?
We just have that one 2007 Dodge Charger.
And it's your responsibility by RSAs to transport these prisoners, correct?
Correct.
At least to where? Just over to the courthouse, right?
Nope, the sheriff's office does that. We transport to doctor's appointments, other correctional facilities if we're doing an administrative transfer. If we're doing any type of work detail, we take the prisoners out.
Is there anything that says the sheriff can't do it? I mean, this seems to me like a duplication of effort. They've got 11 or 12 or 13.
Hey, you know what I was thinking? The sheriff got two Humvees that we spent $4,000 or $5,000 to paint the damn things.
Yep.
Why can't the jail use one of those Humvees for transporting prisoners? They're just sitting around doing nothing.
You'd have to modify them to some degree to keep the prisoners away from the...
Yeah, I don't think they're conducive for prisoner transport representative.
A Humvee with all that room in the back?
But by the time I don't think they make cages for those type of vehicles. Unless the military does it, I'm not sure.
Well,
how many passengers will that Humvee hold in the back? Are they militarily? They are militarily configured because they bought them from the military.
Never been in a Humvee. I don't even know. They had Jeeps when I was...
I mean, if you can carry a Marine rifle squad in one of them, you ought to be able to carry a few prisoners.
Yeah, as long as you can separate them from the drivers.
Well, all you got to do is put a cage up.
You don't separate each prisoner, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Each prisoner is separated?
No.
Just all you have to do is just put a fence or something in between the driver and where the prisoners are, right?
Yes, sir.
I don't see the big deal. He's got 2 or 3 of those Humvees. I don't know why we couldn't get one of them from him and just...
I don't know what the logistics are as far as getting one either. I mean, I don't know who has what authority.
Well, according to him, it cost him nothing.
No, but I'm not, my question is, he's got them, but can another department like Jason just take one of them?
Well, from what I understand, he has the authority to do whatever the hell he wants with them.
That's right. So if he doesn't...
So if the sheriff says, yeah, I'll give one to the jail, and no big deal.
do we get any RICO vehicles here that's a possibility? I mean, we had that red truck here that caused all kinds of trouble for 5 years. Do we occasionally get an SUV or something that the county takes possession of, or the sheriff's department that we could use, or can't you do that?
I'm not sure. I can ask the sheriff if they have anything.
I talked to the Attorney General, and I got signed papers from the Attorney General telling the sheriff that the county can use that vehicle you're talking about anytime they want it. It wasn't his. He had to turn it over to the county.
That's the Humvee.
No, that was the red truck.
The vehicle that they confiscated during a drug raid.
Yeah.
And that holds true with any vehicle that they confiscate. So if there's anything out there that's been confiscated, it's the county's. It's not the sheriff's. And the county can use that vehicle as they see fit. And this comes right out of the Attorney General's mouth. And there's a letter downstairs on file. There's a copy.
I remember I saw it.
There's a copy that went to Mr. Sorensen, and a copy went to the sheriff from the Attorney General. So if there's any vehicles out there that have been confiscated, we can use them.
Okay.
And let me just mention something. We're trying to think of ways where we're not going to spend a lot of money on a new vehicle, although that's probably the nicest thing we could do. But I got a sneaking suspicion that next year, after this election, there's going to be a very, very early resolution that'll say that the county budget will not raise above the rate of inflation. So you're gonna have to be very, very, I think, this is just my opinion right now with the people that I've been talking to, you're gonna have to be very, very careful with next year's budget. Because they're not gonna stand for a 2, 6, 7, 8% increase. It's gonna be down to 1 or 2%, and that's it.
Okay.
What do they use the Humvee for? Can I ask that question?
We don't know. Jack wanted to know what the
I don't think
Humvee
they
is
use
for.
them for anything.
In case we get attacked.
Well, one of them is set up to haul the communication center that they've had for about 5 or 6 years and used twice, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened to the truck that had to haul that.
As a trailer with a tow hitch and all that stuff, right? That's when you say set up, that's what they're talking about, right?
Yep.
Dave, you got a comment here.
I don't know if I'm permitted to speak.
Yes, you certainly are, Ed. Very informal. We'll take any input we can get that's helpful to the conversation.
The Humvees that the sheriff is using now is primarily used for any emergency situation, hurricanes, tornadoes, etc. Also just to pull the emergency trailer. The issue about using a Humvee, the public is not comfortable with using military vehicles to transport prisoners because with the contract or the agreement that you have with the federal government to get that Humvee for free, is they can commandeer that at any time. So at some point, they will commandeer that and use it on us. So just be aware of using military equipment to do private corrections.
Although they can still commandeer it if they were going to, no matter what you're using it for, right?
Right, but having a public perception that you're using, military vehicles to transport prisoners.
Well, what's to say it's a military vehicle? They sell Humvees, or used to up until last year. It's been painted so that it doesn't look like a military vehicle anymore. So, there's a million Humvees out on the road that aren't military vehicles.
Right, but you're getting it through a grant.
But who knows that?
But you're getting it from the
The
government.
government knows.
You're getting it from the federal government.
Yeah,
If you
government
bought it
knows.
outright, I don't think anybody.
I know, but my point is that he originally began speaking about the public's perception. Now, what's the public know if the vehicle is painted black, it has nothing on it to show that it's military, and there's a million more Humvees out there that look like it? How are they going to associate that with the military?
Keene has the Bearcat, which is a military-style assault vehicle. Why does Keene need a Bearcat? So the black Humvee looks just like the Bearcat, so there is a public perception that there's a militarization of the...
Well, I can show you thousands of black Humvees out there that were built by who, Chrysler?
Even if it is a federally granted vehicle, and it's a full hardtop vehicle, and if it was capable of transporting people, then what's the detriment of using that in a corrective situation? It's still part of the county, right?
Can I respond to that?
Sure.
The issue is that the county isn't buying it outright and have full control over it. The issue is when you start taking federal money or federal items, there's a price to pay. That's the only issue. If the county had the money to buy Humvees outright, GM-made products, there wouldn't be any issue, I don't think. But more and more, as these towns are getting more and more, not having enough money to function.
So what you're saying, there's a charter that comes with it.
Oh, absolutely.
Defining exactly what that can be used for.
I'll send you the interview I did with the sheriff, which explains the Humvees. I interviewed him about just that, how he gets them and how it can be commandeered, and that it's not really free.
But I don't disagree with you, but we have it, okay? We have it. Now we have it, we can use it for anything they want. Assume that they commandeered it, they would commandeer it for no matter what you were using it for. The only downside is, from that standpoint, is that he would lose his transportation. And the prisoners would have to walk or something, but that's, from a downside, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but that's, now that we have it, that's the downside.
Thank you.
Well, I understand what you're saying too, but being military, when I look at surplus military equipment, I don't look at it with a negative, outlook. I say, good, it's surplus, let the people use it now, I suppose you're right, there are some people who would look at military surplus and say, oh, well, they're taking over the country, but I think those are far and few between.
In reference to saving money for the county and the state, to use the simple concept of no victim, no crime, I'm sure you've heard of this concept. No victim, no crime, and stop criminalizing things that should not be a crime anyway. They're just statute laws that are trying to control behavior. You would remove a lot of weight off of the county jail if people weren't put in jail for no reason. A good example is decriminalizing marijuana would be a good one. And there's other people that are put in jail for what other reason? Can you give me an example of a good reason that people are put in jail other than, that would be a non-crime?
Oh, let's see. Well, you have all your driving offenses. Is that what you're talking about? Like you're operating after suspensions and your DWIs, but I mean you.
Well, DWI is something different, but are you telling me that there's people in jail that have suspended licenses?
Mm-hmm.
That's why they're in jail.
Mm-hmm.
Good way to save money. And as legislators, you can do
Well,
that.
let me ask you a question. And I'm just to play the devil's advocate here. If the people are put in jail because they have suspended licenses,
Mm-hmm.
and that's probably because they keep driving on a suspended license, and I assume that the license was suspended because they caused some danger to the, I mean, I don't know what the reason is, but there's some reason they shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
If you just don't put these people in jail, you're never going to stop them from driving either. They're just going to keep doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I guess my question is, how do you stop them other than doing that?
Right.
And there are some people who shouldn't be driving.
Basically, Romero, what you're saying is they're not victimless crimes.
No.
I mean, somebody's out on a suspended license because
Yeah,
they've been
that is-
speeding, they're going through a stop sign, and the next time they get in the car and you hit somebody head on and kill them, they're certainly a victim.
What you have to think of is not just the fact that some people call it a victimless crime. You have to look at, does it have the potential that there
Yes.
would be a victim at some other date? Driving drunk. Okay, you got picked up for driving drunk. Nobody got hurt. But what if you didn't get picked
Yeah,
up?
some of
Somebody
these-
might have died.
Some of these guys and some of these
That's
things
my
get picked
point.
up 15 or 20 times, and somehow you got to stop that.
You're moving down a slippery slope when you're now trying to predict who's going to do the crime and who's not going to do the
You're
crime.
right. You're no question.
Law is supposed to be when there's a victim or when you exhibit force on someone and cause them damage or harm, that is crime. Just trying to predict it now, what's going to happen later on? You're predicting that somebody's going to...
Let me ask you this. Somebody crosses our border illegally. Maybe they're a terrorist. Maybe they're not. Is that a crime?
It only depends if you call it a crime.
If there's a law on the book that says anybody who crosses this border illegally commits a crime,
No,
is it a crime?
You enforce the law or you change it, in my opinion.
If there's a law on the
If it's there,
books,
you enforce it. If it's
you
there,
enforce
change
it. If you don't like it, you change the law. But until the law is changed, you enforce the law.
Well, in keeping to the county, saving money for the county, I'm speaking of crimes that the citizens of the county would be...
Jason, what percentage of your people in jail are on drug-related charges?
I'm sorry, sir.
What
What's
percentage of your jail population would be on drug-related charges?
off the top of my head? I can't answer that, but the national statistics show anywhere between 70 and 80% are all
Now, that's not all marijuana, though. That's all types of drugs.
all types of drugs.
Ballpark, can you give us a ballpark?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't want to.
And how many physicians have been arrested and put in jail for creating drug addicts out of it? Do you have any physicians in your jail?
No.
You just have the victims of the doctors that are giving the drugs out. But there's been no attempt in legislation to go after the doctors that are doing it. People get addicted because they have accidents, they hurt their back, they get addicted to OxyContin and other drugs like that. They doctor shop, and there's nothing being done to stop the doctors from doing it. They get off scot-free. I'm sorry, these are just open comments. I just can't help myself.
Going a little bit afield here.
I agree with you there.
No, you'll save a lot of money if
Yeah.
you start enforcing real law and not just statute behavior law.
Thank you, Ed.